It's time for paper mache. First you need to choose an animal. Here's a meerkat. I need to make sure that I have pictures of the animal's head from different directions, so I know just how large to make each of the areas. I'm going to start with single sheets of newspaper that I crumple up into a ball. If you're doing a very large animal, you might need 2 or 3 of these. For my meerkat, I just used 2. I'm also going to fold a half sheet of paper for each of the ears. Give them a good crumple so that they stay exactly the way you want them to stay. We're going to add a little bit of tape to hold things together. You do not want to tape the entire project because the next step will not stick if there's too much masking tape involved. Here I am folding the ears and attaching them with a couple of pieces of tape also. Since our animal is going to be hanging from the wall on a mounted board, I want to make sure that I also add a neck. For my board, I'm just using a piece of mat board, but you can use cardboard if that's what you have. When you attach the tape to the animal and you're trying to stick it to the board, make sure that you spread the tape down flat. You don't want to have any tent strings. You want the tape to be completely flat against the cardboard. There we go. I think that's a good start. Now it's time for the messy step. Cover your table with plastic. We're using a mixture of glue and water, half and half, and I'm dipping strips of newspaper into the water and glue mixture. You don't want your strips of newspaper to be very long, only 6 to 8 inches. As you add them to your project, make sure they overlap each other slightly, that way everything will stick together. Try to smooth out the corners as you work. Everything will start getting really wet really fast, so just smooth things out as you go. Don't forget to turn it around and look at it from different angles also, so you don't miss any spots. Time to let it dry. For our second layer, we're going to be using some strips of the paper towel. This is thin and a solid color, so when we start the painting step, it'll be easier for you. The paper towels at the school are very thin, and they tend to kind of wrap up on themselves when you're working with the glue. So just go slowly so you don't get them too tangled, and you can spread them out after you've dipped them in your glue mixture. Since the paper towels are very thin, you can really smooth out the surface with your hand once you start applying them. We want to avoid any creaks, cracks, or crevices. Gotta let it dry again. And now let's paint. Get your colors as close as you can to your project pictures. I like to start with a little bit of white on the project first before I start blending in my other colors. Pay attention to the shading on your animal. For this little meerkat, the fur under his chin and on top of his head is very light, and the fur in his snout and around his eyes is a little darker. Don't be afraid to mix right on your project. I like to blend the wet colors together as I'm painting. I'm probably going to need to do 2 coats on this guy. This is a good base coat. Let's let them dry. Last up, let's paint some of the details. If you use a dry brush, sometimes you can get that texture of fur or hair, if your animal has that. Don't forget to paste the cardboard too. That's not very interesting. Let's see what you can do.